Ladies and gentlemen, this morning I was keenly watching the vetting of John Mbadi as the next CS of Treasury. I want to tell you, John Mbadi shocked the Kenya Kwanza government. Why? Some issues that he was addressing in that vetting is clearly an indication the man has at least tips how he's going to be the CS of Treasury. Let us call a spade, not a big spoon. Sometimes we give credits where it deserves. I believe that John Mbadi is going to be the CS of Treasury that is likely to make changes, but it's going to depend with the leader of the Kenya Kwanza government, and that is President William Samoei Ruto. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the analysis of this channel. Please do me a favor, ensure you like the video. When you like the video, you automatically support the work that I'm doing. I have realized that sometimes you bump into the video, you watch, and you forget liking the video. So I'm just reminding you, if you forget, please do me a favor, ensure you like the video. Thank you so much for that like. Now, I was just listening to John Mbadi about the issue of the public debt. Do you know, Kenyans, that, for example, myself, I don't know how much we are owing other countries. Hatujui ni pesa ngapi tumelipa, ni pesa ngapi tumekopa. Do you know that? Why? Because we lack transparency in the Ministry of Treasury. Those who occupied that ministry, they were not giving us clear details. How much we are owing people, how much we have paid, and of course, the documents that is showing we are owing and how much we are paying. So according to the statement of John Mbadi, it's like trembling the Kenya Kwanza government, you know. And in fact, those members of parliament who are vetting John Mbadi and they are close allies to William Ruto, they were just quiet, you know. For the first time, they were just quiet, listening to whatever John Mbadi has. I want you to listen to John Mbadi about the debt and accountability that is going to ensure is going to be in the Ministry of Treasury. Watch the question.
Speaker, and thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker, for these two very important questions. I will start with the issue of public debt. Mr. Speaker, it is true that public debt levels in this country is worrying. In terms of percentage, it could be 72, but I think it's still in the region of 67, 68% of our GDP, which is very high. Public debt, if you look at it in terms of split between external debt and domestic debt, is almost 50-50. We are at about 10.5 trillion at the moment, split almost 50-50. I would go into the details of the breakdown, but I think that would be too much information for now. But I want to just mention that in terms of managing public debt, number one priority for me is debt accountability. If you listen to Kenyans at the moment and the discussions around debts, Kenyans seem to be asking, what is our actual level of debts? Is it really true that we have a debt level of 10.5 trillion? The answer could be yes, but Kenyans want proof and evidence. So debt accountability is number one priority for me. As a matter of fact, I've asked myself, if Kenyans owe people money, why can't Kenyans know the people they owe money, how much they owe them, and what is the rate, the level of interest for each loan? You will hear excuses that there are certain agreements which probably discourages disclosure. But the question is, can't you come out transparently and explain to Kenyans which are these agreements stopping us from knowing who we owe money? One of the things that I think we need to do is to make a debt register a statutory document, which should be published every year like we publish all the other documents. Kenyans should know it is not the government that owes money to Chinese, it is to China government or to World Bank or to IMF. We know World Bank is the single leading lender to Kenya in terms of amounts, followed by African Development Bank. Number 3 is China. Number 4 is Eurobond. These people don't, it is not the government which owes their money. It is not the treasury. It is the people of Kenya, the taxpayers, who owe these people money. You cannot owe someone money without knowing how much you owe. So I want to put it that debt accountability is important.
At the same time, John Mbadi talked about the revenue mobilization and tax rate. This is also a big problem to Kenya Kwanza, because they had their also agenda, during their campaign period. But immediately they took over, seems like they are confused. They never knew what was to be done in this part and in this part. Reason being is that those individuals who are being given these offices, they don't understand anything. They're just there for business. And so when I was just listening to John Mbadi about the revenue mobilization and the tax rate, I think if it's going to be like this, then the trajectory he's taking, believe me, Kenyans, is going to change. Big things there. And at least Kenyans tutapumua. But I'm telling you, Kenyans, it will depend with how William Ruto takes the advices that John Mbadi is likely to have. Listen to John Mbadi about the revenue mobilization and tax rate.
A lot has been said about revenue mobilization, and the focus has been that we should be changing tax rates, we should be increasing tax rates, we should be coming up with new taxes. I don't think that is the solution. The solution to tax mobilization or revenue mobilization should be targeting the tax collector, KRA. KRA is like a cow which we milk without feeding. We have a provision that 2% of our revenue should go towards building capacity of KRA, but we don't do it. Look at the system that KRA is using at the moment. It needs re-engineering. If you hear or you listen to those who are involved in collecting taxes, especially custom duties. Custom duties, we are losing a lot through smuggling, through counterfeit products, because we don't have a system. We don't have a system that is foolproof, a system that can help us manage some of these tax leakages. Remember, there was a time, and I'm sure many of us, almost all of us here are old enough, you'll remember that there was a time when KRA had a very good policy of graduate recruitment into KRA, and they were properly trained, like even for 2 years. You must have properly trained tax experts. The way we are recruiting staff at KRA at the moment and deploying them needs to be relooked into. You cannot have people who are not properly trained to collect taxes from people who hire properly trained accountants to calculate their taxes. I also want to say that you need to look at the leadership and management of KRA in general. So one of my first tasks will be to make sure that I have a sitting with KRA to look at how we can reform that institution. Because there was a time in this country, not long ago, when we were collecting 18% of our GDP as taxes. Today it is 14%. If we could just increase from 14% to 18% of GDP, you will be adding about 600 billion to our revenue base. So you will be reducing the fiscal deficit and the fiscal gaps that we have. But finally, you talked about the finance bill that has been lost. I want to tell Kenyans, please don't panic. Let us stop.
So I think, for the first time, I can confirm to you, this is the first CS that I'm comfortable, that I can say that at least if he's going to be given a room to actualize some issues there, believe me, no, things are going to be good. Why? because he's a man that understands how he's addressing the issue of debt accountability, the revenue mobilization and tax rate. The man understands also how he's going to ensure that the good advices are going to be consumed for the not only better of the country, but also the betterness of the government of William Samoei Ruto. But again, he's urging this is going to depend how William Ruto is going to take it. Because John Mbadi is also trying to see that if president will be willing to take the advices, because he is the constitutionally and principal advisor to the president. And if the president would like to consume the advice, good advices that John Mbadi is having, then clearly the man deserves this seat. But again, is he going to break these chains of where you find someone is the CS of Treasury, but several individuals surrounding him or her is, of course, you can clearly identify they are letting down the government of the day. Because number one, the president will be talking about the issue of public debt without even having verified statistics. And that is why day in, day out, William Ruto will speak about anything. Why? Because those who have been occupying the office since William Ruto took over, they don't have that time to clarify, to have some issues well addressed, statistics well laid, and even before the public. I think, for me, let us give John Mbadi credit. Even if they did a mistake, moving from Azimio to the government of the day, let us give him time. But again, this is going to depend how the president of the day is going to take the principle, of course, the advice of the CS of Treasury, John Mbadi. Ladies and gentlemen, maybe that is my opinion. What do you think after listening to what I've just selected 2 or 3 topics that John Mbadi talked about? But he talked about many things. If I was to attach all the videos here, could have been even 2 hours watching the video. But I decided to at least update you how things are going about John Mbadi's vetting. So I'm requesting with a humble heart, please do me a favor, ensure you give your opinion at the comment section below. Thank you so much for your great support. Please consider liking, commenting, and sharing this video. Bye bye till we meet in another video.